Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts, and in today's video we're going to be making this drawstring style gift bag. It has a stopper for the drawstring and a handle which can move backwards and forwards to allow you to get into the bag. This bag is 5 inches in diameter and the main section of the bag is 5 inches high. You can resize this to suit your needs. I've used 180 GSM for the base, and I would anticipate that you could go up to potentially a 240, but you want to make sure you've got enough flexibility on movement in the cardstock to create the loops at the top of the bag for the cord or the ribbon. And then the bag just closes like so. I've used Craft Consortium Ink Drops Sunset for the DSP on this. The inspiration for this project came from a bag which I saw on Pinterest, but the concept of construction for the top drawstring element I've taken from the Santa sack, which was made by Sam Colcott on the Mixed Up Craft channel. And before we get started, I just want to apologise for the changes in colour throughout the video. The yellow cardstock against the pink mat and the pink scoreboard didn't fare very well, so you may notice some odd changes in the colour as we move through. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm starting with a circle for the base, which is 1/16 under 5 inches. If you've watched the beach bag video, you'll know that I had some issues with getting the width of the cardstock I needed for the circumference of the curved size, the right size. I thought there must be an easier way to do this, so I've recut the circle again in copier paper and folded it into quarters. I've then used a tape measure to measure this particular segment, and then I've multiplied that by 4. And I'm hoping that will give me a much more accurate measurement for the piece of cardstock. So I've got my base, and then I've cut another one which is slightly under the size, and that's going to go in the base to cover the serrated teeth. For the main sides of the bag, I'm using the width of a piece of A4 cardstock times 9 inches. We're going to start on the 9-inch edge and we're going to score at half, which is going to give us the base glue tab, 5.5 and 8. Now what will happen on the bag is this section here is where we will create our loops. This section here is what's going to fold in towards the center of the bag to help you get the drawstring effect. So this element here between these two score lines, which is 5 inches, that is effectively the height of the bag before the bag starts narrowing. So if you've got a specific size that you want to make, just bear in mind this portion here between the 1/2 inch glue tab and this first score line before the funnel starts is going to be the main portion of the bag. If I show you on my template, this is effectively this section here before these funnel bits start folding in towards the middle. Rotate the piece, and along the A4 width side we're now going to put our score lines in to create the drawstring. For the first set of measurements we're going to score at every 1 inch and we're going to score down to the second score line. So we're scoring at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. We're now going to score down to the first score line only at 1/4, 3/4, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/4, 5 3/4, 6 1/4, 6 3/4, 7 1/4, and 7 3/4. And you will note that I haven't scored all the way down at the 8-inch point, and that's so that if I have cut my paper slightly out, I've got an element of manipulation without a score line. Fold and burnish along the base glue tab, the 2.5 inch and the 1 inch. We're now going to do our cutting, and we're going to start by cutting a series of teeth into the base glue tab, which is going to allow us to manipulate the piece around the base of the bag. I'm going to add a slight curve into the piece, and that will help me when I come to stick it. And I've done it now rather than after I've cutting, because the top elements are going to be a bit more vulnerable. We're going to start by creating the drawstring, and we're going to start on the first score line, which just goes up to the first 1 inch score line. It's the second score line within the 1 inch band, but the first short score line. We're going to cut down to the 1 inch horizontal, and then cut diagonally down to the end of the long score line. I'm going to just rotate and just cut that section away and create a slight wedge. But you can see that there is no definite glue tab there. And just make sure you do cut away the score line in its entirety, like so. Move along to the next short score line. Cut on the inside edge of the score line down to the 1 inch horizontal, and then cut diagonally down to the end of the long score line. And that's created this funnel look. Move along to the next short score line. Cut down to the 1 inch horizontal and cut down diagonally to meet the end of the long score line. Move along to the next short score line, cut down to the 1 inch horizontal and cut down to the end of the long diagonal. And we're going to do this all the way along. And then when you get to the end, cut down the last small score line and then cut diagonally across to the outside edge of the cardstock. So this is how our piece looks, and you want to do that on both pieces. We're now going to take our outside pieces. I'm going to add glue to the serrated teeth and add each piece onto the base, and I'm going to add each piece independently. Because it's the first time you're seeing this for real where I haven't put the score lines in, I'm going to leave the first teeth either end unglued, or possibly this small one and this next one. I'm going to leave those unglued so I can then, if necessary, slide the second piece underneath. So let's see whether my new method of calculating the length of cardstock and not having a specific glue tab works. So I'm just going to leave the end ones unglued. Add my first piece in, and I'm pushing down on the tabs with my left hand, pushing the piece outwards towards the edge of the base, and then lining it up. I'll just move those back properly so you can see. So I'm pushing the piece out with my left hand to the edge, and then just using my right hand to manipulate the piece around the curve of the base. So I'm happy with how that one's come out. So I'm going to take the next piece. I'm going to add glue along where the faux tab is. And I've only added glue onto some of the teeth at this stage. So let's get the side panels lined up. So that sits nicely together, and then I'm going to start to move the base round, move the side piece round onto the base, add the glue to the last sets of teeth. So this is going to be a test of my new quarter circle calculation method. It's funny how you think you've cracked the process for something and then all of a sudden it doesn't work, and it puts all these elements of self-doubt into your mind. So we've got to the end. The method of calculating the length of cardstock has worked. That fits perfectly. I've slotted the last set of teeth under the first set of teeth, and that is the sides attached to the base of the bag. So what we're going to do now is just fold the top 1 inch sections outwards, because I want to show you how the top comes together. So these longer pieces, the funnel section, will fold in like so. So that creates the drawstring look. So you can see what I meant about the middle section between the base glue tab and the first score line is effectively the height of the bag, because you can see it suddenly starts sloping in. I'm going to have it this way round. Take your score tool and gently curl outwards the top 1 inch sections. That's just going to help us when we come to create the loops for our cord or ribbon. So we're now going to create the loops for the drawstring element of the bag. What you need to pay consideration to is the cord, ribbon, etc. that you're going to use as your drawstring. I'm going to use ribbon and fold mine over into 3. If, however, you're going to use maybe a slightly chunkier cord, you may want to adapt your measurements so that your piece is slightly longer to give you longer than the 1 inch section for the loop. So you don't need to be limited. You can obviously adjust the size according to your gift, but then also adjust the size of the length of cardstock that you need to make the loops to suit the cord. So if you're going to have the 1 inch like myself, you're going to potentially end up with a loop which is about that big. So just bear that in mind. So I'm just going to add glue to the end of the 1 inch section, fold it under and adhere it into place. If you're worried about consistency for the loops, what you can do is take a pencil, or for instance, this is the end of my craft knife. Add your glue to the end of your loop section and curl the top segment around your tool, and that will then ensure that your loops remain consistent. So you want to create your loops all the way around, and whilst my top loops have been drying, I've been adding my second circle into the base, and I've added my DSP onto the sides of the bag. So I'm going to finish the drawstring effect, decide where you want the front of the bag, thread your chosen ribbon or cord and loop it through the loops. So that's our drawstring. So you can see what will happen is as you pull that, the loop, the top of the bag will close inwards like so. So you could just have the drawstring and then create a tie bow at the end. Alternatively, I'm going to make a stopper. I've got a strip which is 2 inches by half an inch wide, and you can make it as wide as you need, and I will then trim trim the length of this to size. I'm going to just add a curve to make it easier to construct. And what we're going to do is sit the stopper over the top, and we're going to wrap the left hand end around over the left hand cord and glue it down, and then wrap the right hand end around the right hand cord underneath. We want to make the loops big enough so the stopper can move up and down, but not so big that it slips down to the bottom. So make sure you get a nice curl into the ends. So I'm just going to flick this one out of the way. Hold the stopper piece over, add some glue to the underside of the stopper piece, and obviously make sure you keep your cord or ribbon well away from the glue. And then I'm going to fold the top over and just move the section so you end up with the loop the size you need. So my loop is big enough that it can move up and down the ribbon like so, but it's not going to slip. So then I'm going to take the second piece, leave a slight gap between the two pieces. If I turn it over, it will be easier. So if I fold that bit over, I can see how much I need to cut off. So I'm just going to trim that to length. Add some glue to the end, keep my ribbon out of the way, and then fold that over towards the centre of the strip. And just do make sure you don't get your ribbon or your cord caught in the glue. So just test it gently, just to make sure you haven't got the ribbon stuck, but don't pull it too much, otherwise it will come apart. So I'm going to let that dry and make the handles. My idea for the handles is that I'm going to have a strip either side which is going to run over the seam of the bag and the DSP. So that's going to be 5 inches long, and I've cut them 3/4 of an inch wide. And then I'm going to start with 2 strips of A4 joined together, which I'm going to sit over the top, and I'm going to adhere those with brads so that can tilt backwards and forwards. If you've watched the watering can video, it's that sort of effect. So I'm going to get on with that whilst the stopper's drying. So I've added my strips on, and I'm just going to double check the stopper, and you can see that's dry, that moves up and down very easily, so I'm happy with that. I've added my DSP to my handle, and I've cut it down to just under 17.5 inches, and I've added a hole for the brad which is half an inch down from the top edge and half an inch up from the bottom of the handle, and then I've cut a circle with the circle punch, which I'm going to add onto the inside of the bag to cover the ends of the brad. I'm going to just add some beads to the end of the ribbon, and then I'm just going to use a gas lighter just to sear the ends of the ribbon to stop that from fraying. So here we have our finished drawstring bag, and I'm really happy with how this one has come out, and you can see it does open very easily. It's a very roomy bag this size, but you can obviously resize it to what you need. So again, this main body of the bag is 5 inches high and it's 5 inches in diameter. And I think it would be lovely just to decorate this for any occasion. And for Christmas, actually, it gives me the look of a Christmas lantern. So it would possibly be nice to maybe add some acetate windows into the edge and maybe have a battery-like candle inside. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And until next time, thanks for watching.